Achandochi vinyuvak hamikuvak achatawati achandochi.
See, there's spiritual power. Spiritual power is greater than material power. It can move the miracles. It can move the essence of what we are all about, the universe. Once there is true peace in your mind, you will float with the skies, with the stars and the heavens. You will visit all of them. And that'll be your peace. You will understand peace when your spirit visits those stars every night, or listening to just listening to even to water trickling down. That's peace. That is true peace. Even to hear the rustling of the leaves, that's peace. And when you hear the song of the birds, that's peace. And no interruption in your dreams, no interruption in your life. That's peace, beautiful peace.
Hello, my relatives. This is Calvin Hecocta. I'm from South Central Oregon, Numa, and I'm here today to begin one of our first programs that we have planned, and it's called the Wake the People show. And what we plan on doing is to make it a program that's interesting, but also informative, and will also allow you to put forth a few questions to yourself, or wake up to what's going on around in your world. So that's what this is about. And tonight I have my great friend with me, Dean Warner, and I'll have him introduce himself. And how this will work is I'll have a conversation with him. He'll have some questions, and I will answer them. And so that's how we'll do this one.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Dean Warner, like Calvin said. I'm happy to be here, and I want to thank Salem Community Television for having us and giving us this opportunity to speak with everyone.
Yeah.
I met Calvin in the early 90s, and we did some projects together about where Calvin is from, down in southeastern Oregon, around Beatty, Oregon. And we've remained friends ever since. And so we're looking forward to this program, and we're pretty excited to be here and have this opportunity to address everyone.
Yes. Yes. So, like Dean said, we had come together there in the Beatty, Oregon area, and the Lava Beds National Monument, photographing and also filming in those areas. And and we do have some footage of some of that, which we'll be playing as well. But right now, we'll get into the conversation and see what happens. Okay.
Yeah, I've looked forward to this, getting the word out to people, about all the good things that you've had come your way,
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that you've had come your way. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in Beatty, and the things that your relatives offered you to, help keep yourself centered and moving forward in a good way.
Oh, okay. Well, growing up in what we called Paiute Camp, or Numa Camp, as a child, I had my mother and father and a lot of relatives, and at that time there was a lot of elder families still around, and those were the ones that helped me quite a bit with my learning, and it was always available. So as a child, I had a lot of teachers, a lot of people that helped me and working with me in the area of rite of passage, and also going to the river and the mountains to introduce myself to the world. And as a child, that's a whole great beginning of learning, and so as a child, that's what I was doing, and going with my grandfather and father and uncles to walk into the forest and the trails, and learning how to introduce myself to all the beings that live there, and like my grandfather would tell me, you're stepping into somebody else's home. So when you get on the trail, you have a prayer and an offering and introduce yourself, and let all these beings know that you're entering their home, and that you mean no harm or anything like that, so that you're there to learn or find out who they are, and then I can pass that word on. And that was the beginning there in the mountains, and to the water, to the river, the Sican River. At that time, it was flowing very well, and we used that for our home, our water, and also swimming, and a lot of rafting and things like that. That there was a lot of fun during those times with the other relatives my age, and so we were doing those. But also, it was a time to go for the water blessing. So that was the other part of the river. What took place with it was the sacred. So that was kind of that part between like 5 and 7, 8 years old. And so is there anything there that you feel that's important that we do that, that conversations we can sense and feel different things, and hey, that's a good question. And that's a good feeling. Maybe we better talk about that some more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then that's what conversation is about, and also learning is like that. And so again, just sitting with the elder, and I sit there. Sometimes we can sit on the porch and say nothing for a long time, just feeling, looking at each other, and then maybe have some water or some tea or something, and then eventually start talking about why I am there, why I'm visiting with the old man, and then introducing myself. And each time I go, I introduce myself. Because each time I'm there, I bring other parts of me, the things that I've learned as well. And so that's another part of our world, that the things we learn helps us grow. And so those things we have to talk about as well.
I've been down there in Beatty, and we're able to visit some of the places that you used to go as a boy and continue to go to get refreshed and regain your equilibrium and get stronger, hear the new messages that come. What does that mean? How has that shaped your life, and how does that inform you every day when you have your walk around where you live now?
One of the important pieces, I think, would be the understanding of the people around, and then that's the piece that's really important for anyone. An example would be the going to the river. There are a lot of beings that live there, and so you introduce yourself to them, and that's what I was doing. And I'm fortunate at one point walking the trail with my grandfather, and having a raccoon come along and call my name, and that was wonderful. It surprised me when I stopped and turned around, and the raccoon was sitting on the trail looking at me. And when that happened, I ran up, caught up with my grandfather, and told him what happened. And he told me to go back. You go back and sit down there and introduce yourself, so that the raccoon can take your information home, and the raccoon will spread the good news that we have a new person in our community, as they already know my grandfather and father and others. So in that way, the raccoon would be introducing me to the rest. So that was something that was wonderful. But to have the surprise of the raccoon calling my name, and that's an important piece that we have. At many different times in my journeys to the mountains or the rivers, I've have different beings calling or entering my body with messages, and that's something that's always calling me back, and a message inside that there are things that need to be done. And so sometimes even an example, during the night I'm sleeping, there may be a spirit that will come and wake me up. It's time to go. And I have no idea where at that point, but when once I get dressed and out the door, then I know where I'm going and for what purpose. And on the way I prepare myself. But that is a feeling of peace, a wonderful peace that takes place when I arrive, but also when the journey is completed. And that's what we look for, or I look for anyway.
I find that connection missing. I've lived in Portland my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
and there isn't much to replace the daily chatter of going here, going there, and it seems like there's something, if not missing, at least absent from the everyday life experience. And I know that one of the things that you wanted to talk a lot about tonight was the peace that comes with that kind of relationship. Do you find that that's absent in a lot of places, and what can people do about it?
In many places that I go, I do find a lot of restless feelings there, and people on the search. What's used now is the I want to know myself, and so that's kind of what's happening, and I hear that a lot. That I need to know who I am, and that happens when there's no instruction, spiritual instruction in the family or the community. And I'm finding that that's a powerful separation that takes place, and people constantly moving to different areas, and so they have to change with the rules of each community, which is different, and the people are different, so you have to change each time. So you never have really good contact with the neighbor, and sometimes you see a neighbor walking by and not one word is spoken, and I have noticed that a lot when I'm walking down the streets, and people will glance at me and then continue on, without a word. And I try to make contact, or smile, and sometimes say hello, and still get no response. And that is kind of disturbing. That in our world, we should all be welcoming with each other, and that is what's missing now, and our children learn that, and they will grow up the same, with not trusting anybody. And so taking a look at that is something that's important to be aware of, and especially with the elder people, to see them and the neglect that's there with the old people. And I'm not talking about myself when I'm saying old people, but
or me either. I'm sure.
not you either. But okay, we will leave ourselves out of it. Okay, well, we're going to take a little break, and then we can get a drink of water, and then we'll carry on after a bit. Okay, we're back again, and we'll continue with our conversation with myself. Again, I'm Calvin Hecocta, and I have my friend and Dean Warner from Portland, Oregon, and we'll carry on with what we were doing.
It was a good first segment there. It went by pretty quick.
It did.
It's amazing.
It did. Yes.
Where we left off was part of what we were discussing was Plum Butte and the different places that you visited, and your uncles and grandpa, would take you there and instruct you, and when you were young, and how you started your education there.
Yes.
And of course, the way things go, you end up in your adolescent years. And how did things progress for you then, at that time in your life?
Oh, and I would say that there were some fun times in my world. Um, Horses on the ranch, or riding the horses into the mountains, or to the river to go swimming. But I spent a lot of time horseback. And that was by myself. But then there were others that would ride along as well, kind of all together. But in the teen world, I had a big plan at one time that I would be a professional baseball player. That was one of my dreams. As I started with the Little League and the Babe Ruth, and then progressed into the American Legion ball, and from there is where you go into the farm clubs. But when I got into the Legion ball, that's where I injured my arm. I wanted to be a pitcher for the New York Yankees. That was a dream. But then I injured my arm lifting up a block, putting a block of wood on my dad's truck. Twisted my elbow and never could throw again. So that took care of that part of my teen years, and so the only time I could become a pitcher was when I'd play softball and slow pitch. And so that's where I was with the teen world. But I did baseball, and I'm not very good with basketball, but I did run up and down the court with the rest of the guys, and some football, but baseball was my world. And then on the other side of my world was the moving into the adolescent world of the man's connection. So the rites of passage that takes that step. And with that, there was deeper involvement in ceremony with the going to the mountains and staying first time for 2 days, 2 nights alone. And that is during the introductions, introducing myself to my spirit world. And and the ancestors would gather, and that's what was so beautiful, was knowing that they would come, and that's something that everybody needs to experience. That the spirit world is very much alive, and just waiting for you to make contact with them. And for a little while in my teen years, I was kind of stuck between the two worlds. Our community was ever changing, and I noticed that the young men, young women that I was growing up with had no idea of what I was doing. And so when I would learn some songs in the sweat house or on the mountainside and come back home, and I'd be with my friends and I'd try to sing a song for them. Hey, I learned this. And I would sing that, and they would laugh and start making fun of me. And so that happened with the songs and language and talking about the ceremonies and Sweat Lodge, and they would just laugh and give it no thought. But I continued with that, the ceremonial part of my world, with the men. And by doing that, that set the stage for going to Plum Butte to take a good part of the altars that are there, and learning how to do that, the spirit quest, and the reasons for it. The main reason for the quest is to be able to open up the spirit and the soul so that all of the things that I have inside of me, I can get rid of it there in the altar, pour it all out there, and then let the old man and the old woman and the spirit helpers deal with that, and they'll get rid of it and replace that with the wonders of the world, with the music and with the dreams, the visions that are needed for me to survive. And so that was pretty much some of the activities that I was involved in to take care of myself, and I know that you was there and had some experience, and introducing you to some of those things, and I'd like you would share that a little bit, see what your thoughts were on going to the mountaintop.
Well, that was a very special time for me. It was really nice to be invited to go down there and to try to find my own equilibrium.
Yeah.
After, sort of the colonization of the mind, living in the city my whole life, and yet, having been taken to the woods by my mother and father, up on the Sandy and up on the mountain, where the rhododendrons are flowering, and that was a part too. It was kind of soak that up like a sponge. And so when I met you, and was offered that opportunity to delve a little deeper into that world, try to make sense of my place in this world a little more fully, more than just somebody that lives in the city and that's it, without really any connection to any other life-giving entities.
Yes.
I really felt, grateful to be given that chance and to go up on Plum Butte. It was wonderful. We got there were like 200 nighthawks flying. I'd never seen that before in my life on the way up. And that was an amazing welcome to that place, just wonderful right off the bat. And to go up and meditate and, try to get in touch with my people that come before me to see how they might help me live a fuller life and to be more a partner with the rest of creation. I got that out of it. I really did. And you get up in the morning and greet the sun and let out a big howl and have the coyotes answer back. One group from the north side of the butte and one group from the south side. I mean, you really do start to feel like you want to be a better partner with the rest of creation. And I felt like, we need each other more than a lot of us think, when we live in the city. And, I want to be a part of that world so that I can get the help when I need it and I can offer it when it's needed. So that, in a nutshell, that was my experience. It was one of the best times of my life, really.
Good. So
I think we've got a clip of of Plum Butte now so people can see that place for themselves and
Yes.
hear you speak a little bit about it.
That's good. So I come home and I like to offer blessing for the land and its people. And in turn, I get some of that strength back. I like to return to Beatty, Oregon. And once a year I like to go back, climb up on Plum Butte, take a look at what's happening with the land and its people. I go back there and kind of reconnect with my world. As a child, I used that mountain, climbing and going there. It's my grandfather and my father, uncles. Took me there at one time for a rite of passage. And I sure enjoyed that. I think about it a lot, that opportunity to go back. So when I go home like that, I try to take every opportunity I can to go there and get refreshed. Spiritual growth come back again. There's another place out there besides Plum Butte, which is Grandma Butte. Down below Grandma Butte, that land used to be filled with sagebrush. Rabbits lived in that place, the quail, sage hens. And that's where we went to get our food. The grandmother was the keeper, watching over the land there so that her people could live. Prayers were offered on that butte. People could get songs from the grandmother. Offerings made there for a good hunt. Offerings made for good health. That we'd never lose our food source. So for me, the Grandma Butte is important. That's a place where I can make the offerings for that land, that valley. And Plum Butte is where I go for the vision quest. And across from that is the big rock, a good place for meditation, walking, finding peace there. The Black Hills is one place that I was taken, again by my grandfather and an uncle. That place I was introduced to something called a vision pit. I never tell anybody about that one, because that's something that I feel is most sacred. If somebody ever wants to use that place, then I'd have to take them there. They'd have to let me know how sincere they are about what they're doing. And the Black Hills is the place where our food, again the deer and the other beings provided the food for us. And a lot of medicine plants are there. And the rivers that run by there, the Sican River, different places in the Sican was used for water blessings. Taking the young people there for water blessing, sunrise services. Those kind of things that they haven't been talked about for many years. The last person I talked about these things with was my grandfather and my father. So when I go back there, I have to ask questions of the Creator. I go there and ask, I need to hear the songs of this land. Can you help me? And if I stay and stay and stay there long enough, then the songs come through the trees, the grass, or from the birds themselves, from the water. When you go to that land, you have to take a look at how sacred it is and the things that live there. And that's the part of understanding, is knowing all of the beings that live on that land. Because each one of them, from the smallest ant to the biggest tree, all of them work together in helping you survive. Touch the spirit of that land. So when you return home like that, that's what you're doing. You're offering yourself to all of the beings there, asking for their help. They know of all the words and all of the things that was said on that land for hundreds of years. And they're there to share it with you if you make that commitment to be a part of their world, part of the natural world, the natural laws of the land. I find it a great freedom and a peace to return to that land, to touch the earth. Say thank you, Numana, for all beings, for all beings. Okay, we're back again to finish up our program and talk a little bit more about the experience there at Plum Butte. And so continuing with that, you had your experience there, and mine goes on every year to return back there to let the spirits know that I'm still around and still enjoy their help and need their help. And so I go there and have a good prayer session there, and smoke my prayer pipe and sing some songs. But also, the main part is that a song will come to me, either while I'm laying down with my head on the stone, a song will come from the stone, or from the trees. So that's an important piece, to always return to those things and never neglect them. So I found that once you start to neglect your responsibility to the spirit world, they will walk away from you and leave you. And then you're wandering around by yourself with no soul and just a lost shell, and trying to survive and fake it. So anyway, so at Plum Butte, it was a wonderful experience, and it still is. And the main thing for me right now is to search for another person to take there, take them there and talk about those things and about my experiences, and I have done that with one young man recent, and I met him a week ago, I believe it was, at Powwow, where he spoke to me, and he was the happiest man in the world because he completed a vision quest. And I remember talking to him and teaching what I knew about those things and taking him to the mountains, taking him to the water and showing him those quests, the vision quest and also the water blessings. And so he completed that 4-day quest, and he's the happiest young man in the world right now. And he just wanted to acknowledge that the appreciation he had that I took the time to help him. And then, so that's the wonders that we have in our world of these sacred prayer places.
Yeah, it sure feels good to hear that.
Yes.
Down around that area, there's also a place just to the west called Timber Mountain where we visited, had a camp up there with Gerald Jackson and his family, and wondered if you'd like to speak a little bit about that place.
Oh, wow. Yes. My friend Gerald, I do miss him, and he wanted to do his quest, and he chose his place, which is Timber Mountain, and so we went there, and his family went, and while we were there, that area is where there's the ghost dance took place there in that area, and you could still see the indentation in the ground where the dancers were there for days, and so we had our sweat lodge there, and in the preparation for my brother to go on his quest, and so that was a wonderful time to be with him there, and you and the whole family, and I enjoyed that, and I'd like to go back there again one day, maybe with one of his sons or grandsons or somebody from that family, to go back there and acknowledge the spirit, and that the whole family was there and was introduced by Gerald, and so then again the spirits are waiting for somebody to come back, but that was a wonderful experience there.
It was. I remember that well. I remember Skylar too. That was your son Skylar. It was his first time to be put up there and start his prayer life.
Yes. And he's continuing with that, with his learning, and we will do what we can to make more of it happen, with the families, but also with others. And I know that we'll need to do this again, and further discussions about the sacred, further discussions about our environment that we're having to live in, and how we can go about making a better place for all. And maybe we can have this peace on earth that I heard about one time when I was a child, and even singing about that one time. Peace on earth. Yeah.
What was told to you about peace on earth when you were a child?
The peace on earth was one that starts from inside. When you can feel comfortable and free spirit in yourself. That's where it begins. And And when you're feeling peace inside, it spreads all around, and others can feel that and see it, and they catch that feeling, and start to understand it and enjoy that as well. So I like that idea of the world peace. But to get there, there's a lot of education and deprogramming that has to happen. And that might take us a while to get to that place. But it has to be done.
Yeah, that's great. I look forward to getting into that. We've really just begun to describe what that might look like and how it can be accomplished. So hopefully we can get with you again and do some more programs to get into some of the further steps in the process.
Oh, yes. I appreciate that. Look forward to it. Okay.
Once again, thanks everybody for, especially to Salem Television and our volunteers who work so hard, in doing the switching and audio and editing. It couldn't happen without. And so many thanks. And I guess we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Hey,